Hello and welcome back. Me and Liz are so excited to be here with you today at Selling Big and Small Communities. This episode is going to be great because it is specifically about advertising in smaller centers. And we're going to dive deeper into what's working for us right now in our communities.
Totally agree. Because I do think advertising and promotion in smaller centers, it's interesting because I think it's like this untapped sort of like well for people that if they dial into a couple of systems, things can really skyrocket for them. And what I love about Desi's story is how many years ago did you move? Tell us about how many years ago you moved to Burley, your starting point, and where you are now.
Yeah, so we moved here in 2017, but I didn't get licensed until 2018. I didn't really decide to start doing real estate full-time until 2019. So in 2019 is when we decided to roll out all of our advertising. One of the first things we did was we looked into Zillow. I know people love it or hate it. Regardless of your opinion of Zillow, like it was so cheap to buy those leads. That was one of the first lead sources that we did. Then the second one that we
started purchasing leads right away with Zillow. In Canada, it's a little bit different. Zillow started in the States and it's not as dominant up here as it is down there, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah. So like people haven't really caught on. That's not the first place they go to look for listings in Canada.
But I think what I'm saying is like maybe find a source to start buying leads so you can start getting calls. Like you can start picking up the phone. You have a reason to call people. Is that right?
Remember, we moved here. I didn't know anybody. I didn't have any family. I didn't have very many friends. And so I had to find a way to have those conversations. The second lead source that we added was the Google PPC and LSA leads. And those have been great. They're a longer conversion, but some of those ones early on, I'm closing now. So it's the leads, but then also the follow-up. Then the third thing I did. Oh, go ahead.
Can you, just for people who don't know, tell us what PPC means and LSC?
Yeah. So the PPC is pay-per-click ads. And basically it's just Google ads. And they use, I don't really understand exactly how it works, but they use like keywords. I think they're called SEOs. And they use those. And when people go to type those in the search bar, then you're what pops up. So when you're on Google and you sponsor, yes, then people click it and then you pay. As a newer agent, one of the things that I would do, or as a seasoned agent, is I would really work on getting those Google reviews up because it helps boost that algorithm.
So I've been we work our Google reviews as well. I do think some people don't realize the importance of it, right?
Do you think they're scared? How do you ask somebody for a Google review?
Happy.
Same. Do it. What do you say?
Well, I just say, hey, so-and-so, I'm so glad you had a great experience. We've loved working with you. Would you mind dropping us a review? It's huge for our business and I would really appreciate it. And generally they say yes. And then I say, I'll make it easy for you. And I just drop them the link.
What I do though is I say, hey, because I'm like, oh my gosh, your appraisal just came back good. We're in the home stretch. And they're like, yes. And then I'm like, you have 5 minutes to do me a quick favor? And I text it to them and then they always say yes. Or they'll say, yeah, but what is it? And then I use the same thing you said. Hey, would you mind just taking 5 minutes to write me a quick review and then copy and paste into these 3 links?
Yeah, you told me that before. And I love that idea because you've got a few different places that you'd like to have the review dropped. So making it easy for them by suggesting they write it and then copy and paste it, like you've made it that much easier for them to do it, right? I think that's
to put like the one that you want the most up top because most won't get all the way to number 3. So we do Google first, then Zillow, then our website.
Oh, that's awesome. Do you do paid ads on Google?
Yeah.
Paid ads in Facebook and Instagram?
So we do those and then they go straight into our CRM. Typically those paid ads take about 12 to 18 months to convert. But I think what a lot of agents do wrong is they don't give it the time that it needs. Any lead source that you're going to invest in, you need to give it at least 6 months.
Yeah.
But then the most important thing is the follow-up with the names you generate, right? Because if you get a lead in and then they don't buy right then, and then you're like, yeah, that lead's garbage. No. That lead is gold. You just have to keep nurturing it. It's like a seed. You have to put it in the ground, then you water it, and it has to grow. sometimes it takes a couple of years to harvest the apples.
Love
You get
that. So true. And that's even we were talking earlier about billboard advertising, where I've never done that, but you love your billboard. So let's talk a
yeah.
little about that.
Okay, so in small markets, things that still work, radio, billboard, and TV commercials are still huge. And so we run TV ads. And the cool thing about a small market is it's quite a bit cheaper. If you want to get a billboard in San Diego, it's probably thousands of dollars a month. But here, it's $200, $500 for the billboard.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, so billboards, I think in smaller markets, you can do some more traditional advertising mixed with the new stuff. And so we do like billboards, commercials, and I've heard radio works really well, but I haven't really tried that
Radio is
yet.
really successful in our city.
Okay.
Oh, really? Because we listen to the 1 or 2 radio stations all the time. So people have it on their floors or whatever. And so it's constantly going. But yeah,
Okay.
the billboard is a really good way of brand recognition, right? Like you were saying, you're not going to get a direct phone call like, hey, I saw your billboard, so I called you. But it's just that
Right.
constant, like seeing your face, seeing that you're in real estate reminder. And then when people are like, oh, I need a realtor. Oh, right. I've seen that real estate company like Revista's signs and billboards and heard them on the radio.
And then when you go to that listing appointment, they feel like they already know and like you. Another huge one is the Facebook ads. We do a lot of Facebook ads, Instagram ads. But again, it's the getting them in, nurturing.
Yeah,
That really
just consistent with it. Like, you're not gonna see something immediately transpire, but I do love the idea of when you're in a smaller community, you can really dial into more traditional methods and then also mix it in with something that's more, I guess, bigger city feeling or more fast-paced. Because literally everybody is on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook, right? I
and
mean,
I
for
think
us, Facebook and Instagram has been really huge for us. Yeah.
yeah. And I think the thing is, when you're in a smaller market, typically it's an old mindset where they're like, oh, we've always done it this way. And it worked for a long time.
Yeah.
And they've continued to do it that way for 30 years. What worked 30 years ago maybe isn't necessarily working now. When I moved in and decided to start treating it like a job, most of the agents in town, the top producers, were doing 20 to 30 transactions a year. And they did 89 transactions. And people were like, who the hell is this lady? What is she doing?
Yeah.
And then they're like, she must be cheating or she must be, and it's like, no, like I'm just working hard and advertising. One
Hustling.
thing, the customers are like, oh my gosh, we see you everywhere. Your marketing is so good. And we'll
Right.
have people from other businesses reach out and be like, how do you do your Google PPC? Like, how do you set up your SEO and stuff? They want to do it, right? But they just don't know how. I think
But
that's
too in the bigger or in a smaller community, like depending on where you're from or where you're moving to, but you might think, oh, I'm too late to get on Facebook, too late to adopt these social media things, but absolutely not. You're never too late. If you're an early adopter in your center, that's all you need. It's easy to think, oh, I don't have 10,000 followers, right? Like, oh, but like say you're from a center of 1,000 people. And if you have like 400 followers from your town, that's almost half your town. Those are your clients. Perspective of what you're trying to accomplish. You're not trying to be like a, an influencer necessarily. I mean, you might be, right? But like if you're just like, I want to sell real estate in my town, like just kind of keep your like where you need to be in check. Don't get down on yourself because you're not getting a bunch of likes and comments. People are seeing you, right?
yeah.
And like you want it to continue on and you want to dig into that for maybe a couple of years because first couple months they're just going to be like, who's this person? But then like you were talking about when you're doing your tours with the community businesses, like have an like what is it, like what do you call it?
Like a giveaway.
A giveaway. Thank you. The giveaway. Yeah, like do a giveaway with them. I know in real estate, we are sort of mandated as far as I don't know what's like in the States, but in Canada, we can't incentivize. So we can't personally give things away, but that business can give things away.
And that's our people go to pick it up. That's
It's
like,
real to them.
I think people need to be open-minded because like back when Facebook came out, you immediately adopted it. You
Mhm.
didn't ask questions. And like, what if, because a lot of people were like, oh, Facebook's a fad, it'll go away. But it
Yeah.
didn't. And
now.
some stuff did go away, but people thought the internet was a fad that was gonna go away.
Right?
So it's still
Thank you.
here.
I was on Facebook and I kind of liked it. In hindsight, I wish I would have got on Instagram faster. I wish I would have picked up TikTok sooner. Like,
Mhm.
but I do think if you're consistent with what you like, and I think consistency is key, at the end of the day, you'll start attracting your perfect client, your tribe. People are going to be interested in you. They're going to reach out to you. They're going to tell your friends about you. Because a lot of times what it'll be is like, oh, how'd you hear about me? It's like, oh, my friend follows you on Facebook and
Yeah.
says you crush. Like,
Yeah.
that's exactly what I'm looking for. But back to traditional advertising, I still advertise my listings in the paper that I think a certain demographic are going to be interested in. So like bungalows and condos, paper all day long, but maybe I'm not going to advertise like a 2-story that my avatar client is like a 20 to 35-year-old. You know what I mean? I know they're not reading the paper, but it's
Right.
like you gear your advertising towards the people that you're trying to attract.
Well, you've crushed it with open houses, and it wasn't in my market. Still
Mhm.
nobody's doing those.
Yeah.
So were people doing those in your market, or how did you, like, start with
Open houses have always been a thing, right? For us, where we are, people open house from 2 to 4 every Saturday and Sunday. That was what happened. I think it was just a mindset shift about what open houses are gonna do for us. I think a lot of real estate agents would go, and I have been guilty of it too. You're like, "Oh, I'm gonna get my reading done or my homework done," or whatever it is you're gonna do, or you're just gonna surf the internet while people walk through the house and you don't engage. You're really not doing anything then, right? But if you shift your mindset about what that open house is doing and how you use that to build business, so many cool things can come out of that, right? Realistically, there's so many different ways to advertise your open houses. There's so many different people. And then I know you've talked a lot about circle prospecting, and Beth talked about that a lot. There's the mega open house. I mean, that
Yeah.
seems overwhelming to me. I'm not a mega open house person. I do not have 40 signs. Don't know how people have time for that.
advertised so much before that I don't think you need 40 signs, because people are looking for your emails and on
Yeah,
your
exactly. Like, we do emails and that sort of thing, but I think basically what we're talking about here is what's gonna work in your city or your town,
Mm.
and how you shouldn't close your mind to different types of advertising, right? Like, there's supporting, local events. I think that's huge. That's a big one for us. Like, we support local events. We support different programming through the city, and, we support the library, for example. That's a big one that we're into. Like, we do it annually, and February is the library month. And I've actually had people that have phoned me and specifically hired us because we support the library. So, I mean, it's a
Yeah,
win-win for everybody, right? So different things like that. But billboards, paid advertising online, like, you could do really anything, right?
for sure. And there's a lot of free advertising too. I think in smaller markets, like in bigger markets, everyone's calling expireds, everyone's calling for sell by owners. But at least in our market, nobody else is calling them. We're the only people. And so when it expires, chances they're going to list with us, and then we're going to sell it. And then we have those success stories to share with other expired listings.
And so you
And
add those success stories.
yeah, we'll do postcard mailers are huge too. We'll do mailers where it's like, oh, this guy's house was on the market for 6 months with another agent. We did professional photo staging and our full listing strategy, sold it in a week over asking with multiple offers or whatever. And it happens all the time.
So essentially you're telling the story of that sale, right?
Yeah.
I know that's something people are talking about a lot right now, is like telling the story, not just putting up the sold sign. Like, it's like,
Yes.
this house is sold, but this is the story. And
Mhm.
then if I think about what we're speaking about here today, as far as smaller markets, there's this jewel box of opportunity for people. If you just do maybe 2 of these ideas that we've thrown at you, like, your business is going to explode. Just try
Yeah.
it and let us know how it goes.
Yeah. Is your CRM. Put them in your
Oh, yeah,
CRM.
because I know I'm gonna take some of Desi's ideas and start implementing them here. I'm super excited about that, and I think at the end of the day, there's so many opportunities for people. It's just a matter of taking those opportunities. Don't get overwhelmed by them. Just take a couple of ideas, but be consistent with it, and let us know how it goes.
Perfect. And I would say if you need help implementing or have questions, reach out. We're open books.
Would love that.
Okay, thanks for coming.
Have the best day.